You've probably seen me use a twin needle for hemming knit tops, but have you ever used it for quilting? Hi, I'm Angela Wolf. One of my favorite things to do is embellish fabric, either with embroidery, sewing, stitching, you name it. Today, I'm going to use a twin needle to quilt some fabric that I'm going to use for a bag. The only supplies you need is a twin needle and 2 spools of thread. For my design, I'm using a red satin for the bag, so I've decided to use a metallic thread and embroidery thread, but use whatever one you want. I already have my fabric with 1 layer of padding and then 1 layer of satin. Before we get started, there's one more thing you need to check, and this is very important. Take a look at your needle plate and make sure you're using the one that you could use for a decorative stitch or a zigzag stitch. It has that little wide opening, and not the one that has just a single hole. That won't work for 2 needles. Start by removing the needle that you have in there right now. Simply unscrew the screw to the right and pull that needle down. Grab your twin needle, which is 2 needles attached to 1 shank at the top, and one side of this is flat. So just slide this up into, just like you would a regular sewing machine needle. And next we're going to thread our machine. There's 2 areas here for each spool. Just choose 1 thread for one side and run the second spool up here. I like to put it through that clip. You don't have to, but it just keeps my thread organized. And then you're going to take both threads and thread your machine as if you had 1 thread. Because we have 2 needles, you cannot use your needle threader. Instead, we're going to thread each needle individually. It really doesn't matter which thread goes on which side. It's whichever you prefer. Take the first thread and just run it through one of the needles. And run the second thread through the other side. Making sure nothing's twisted, and it looks great. There's one more setting on the machine I want you to pay attention to, and this is the twin needle. When that is engaged, it will show you on the screen 2 needles right here. And that's how simple it is to thread the needle. You're going to need to leave this lid up because you don't want it to smash on the thread. And depending if you're embellishing an entire piece or just a little bag like I'm doing here, I already have my bag chalked in, so I'll know exactly where to stitch. It's always a good idea to put your needle up and down just a couple times with the hand wheel, just to make sure that the needle's not hitting anything on the foot. I'm going to choose a 3 for my stitch regulator, and then just start stitching. When I get to a stopping point, I can just cut the thread and move to a different area. So you can see there are 2 rows of stitching, 1 metallic, and then I have 1 black thread, and it just stitches all over just as if you were quilting. I think you get the idea. Now this is a lot of fun. I hope you'll try this. Again, I'm Angela Wolf. For more sewing tips and tutorials, be sure to visit brothersews.com and angelawolf.com. Until next time, happy sewing!